Do you have a phone that is maybe old, out of date, or perhaps even getting slow? Are you looking at newer phones and thinking, well, that's a nice feature to have, or well, that looks good? What we're gonna do today is we're gonna look at some apps you can install to breathe fresh life into your old phone. You're watching Android Application Spotlight on 0612 TV. Hello and welcome to Android Application Spotlight. Now, I haven't done this series in a while, mainly because, well, I always get copyright issues arising out of this. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna be very subtle in showing you screenshots and stuff like that. In fact, I'll try my best to not show it at all. What I'm gonna do instead is I'll just direct you to the program downloads and you can take it from there. Also, as an additional preface, some of the apps I'm showing you today require you to root your phone. Now, I know rooting is a hassle, it might, make you feel uncomfortable, but since the whole theme of today's episode is to get an old phone to actually look and work better, hopefully you will not feel as uncomfortable with the whole having to root thing. Now, personally, I'm using a Galaxy Nexus. I've had this for some time now, and it's, by all definitions of the term, getting old. So all the apps I'm sharing with you today are things I actually use. Some are more practical, some are more aesthetic, but in combination, they do actually have the effect of, well, just making an older device feel alive and like brand new. So yeah, I guess that's enough of an introduction. So let's actually jump into our 5 apps this episode. We start off with our most practical of the 5. This app is called LagFix, and the whole idea behind this app is to actually perform a process known as trim on your internal memory. Now, please take note that LagFix is actually not compatible with all Android devices. In fact, it can actually cause some pretty severe problems with certain phones. So what I've done is, in the video description, I've actually included a link to a utility that you can actually use to test your phone to see if it actually works with LagFix. This tool does not come from the Google Play Store, and what that means is you're gonna have to sideload that onto your device and then open it through a file manager. I am very sorry you have to go through so much trouble to actually get this to work, but especially if you are an advanced user, I highly recommend you do this because it is a great help to make your phone run better. Now, I won't go into too much specifics about the whole concept of trim, seeing as that, at least if I get my scheduling right, you should already be seeing an episode of Friday Minis discussing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link you to that episode. You can actually click the annotation link on screen to actually go and find out more about the technical details behind trim. All I'm going to tell you is essentially what trimming does is it speeds up writing to your internal memory. And for older phones, that is phones not running anything newer than I believe Android 4.3, that is KitKat, you'll find that doing a trim operation really speeds up your phone. And if you don't do that, your phone gets slower and slower over time. If you're actually running a newer version of the Android OS, trim actually happens automatically on a schedule. However, if you're not, I highly recommend you get LagFix. Every run of LagFix takes about 5 minutes for me. I have a 16GB device. Obviously, if your device has more capacity, then it might take longer. But yeah, it's not a very long process and it can really speed up your phone, so I highly recommend this. Unfortunately, LagFix is one of the apps that actually require root access. However, as a person who rooted specifically for this and having run this, I can definitely tell you that having LagFix is absolutely worth the hassle of going through the whole rooting process and, going through the potential risk. It really made my phone go from unusably slow to something that feels almost brand new. So yeah, that's LagFix. It comes in both paid and free versions, and if you want to download it now, you can scan the QR code on screen or head down to the video description where you will find a link to the Play Store. Moving on, our next app is SwipePad, and this one doesn't require root, so that is a good thing. Now, normally when we want to jump from one app to another, we have to go back to our home screen, and from our home screen navigate to the icon for that app and then launch that app. If you have SwipePad, you actually save a lot of time because now all you have to do is to swipe from a corner of your screen. These little pads will appear on screen, and in order to open an app, all you have to do is move your finger to the icon and lift your finger, and that launches the app. Obviously, what applications appear in all the different pads are up to you to select. This makes app switching basically instantaneous, so yeah, definitely very useful and a great speed up to productivity. Once again, free and paid versions of this app are available. I personally use the free version and it's already gone a very long way for me. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. Our third app for the day is a program called Flynx. Now, here's the deal. Let's say you are actually browsing, say, Reddit on your phone. You click on one of the links that are supposed to open up in your browser. Now, what will you normally do? Basically, you'll normally be redirected to a white screen. You will sit there and wait for the page to load. When the page loads, then you can continue reading and, getting your content. What Flynx does is, it takes the waiting out of the process. The way it does this is it lets the web page load in the background. And you can continue doing whatever you are doing until the page is done. Then you can pop over and actually look at the page. The way Flynx achieves this is when you actually open a link, instead of being directed to your browser immediately, a little bubble pops up on screen. And this bubble comes with a loading bar, so you can see the loading progress of that particular page. The bubble is unobtrusive, it appears on one of the sides of the screen, which you can move around. And basically, you can continue doing what you're doing until you see that, the page has finished loading. When it's done loading, you can just tap the bubble and then the page comes up, fully loaded and immediately ready for you to read. It might not sound like much, but it does save you that little bit of downtime. Now, as you're approaching the end of the episode, it is time to actually take a look at some apps that have a more aesthetic purpose. Now, if you, like me, actually, have a phone that doesn't have physical buttons on the front, basically what your phone will do is it will draw your actual home and return buttons all on your actual screen itself. That's all well and good, except what this means is you are kinda wasting some of your screen real estate. This is where an app called Full Screen actually comes in and helps you work around this problem. Unfortunately, this particular tool is also root only, but I think it's quite worth it for the aesthetics you get out of this. Essentially, instead of displaying a solid navigation bar, it displays two transparent little quarter bubbles in the corners of your screen. What this means, of course, is that apps can now fully utilize the space that was originally taken up by the navigation bar. The two bubbles, of course, will perform the functionality that the navigation bar once provided. The way I have it set up is I have my home button on the right, and if I were to do a swipe, it will actually open up my list of recently opened programs. If I were to press and hold, it will be the equivalent of the menu button. On the left, I have my back button. Swiping brings up notifications, and pressing and holding actually stops full screen from running. So what this means is I have a way of an emergency stop to full screen, which will of course allow me to get my navigation bar and notification bar back. Now, awesome as this is, it does actually bring about some problems. For example, I don't really like, the app switcher that comes with full screen. I prefer the original Android one where you actually see the full displays. In addition, the notification bar is basically hidden permanently. So even in your lock screen, you are not able to see what your most recent notifications are. However, for this last problem, I do have a solution. And for that, we move on to our final app recommendation of the day. This app is called Nils and does not require root permissions. So, even if you're not rooted, you can use this if you like. The whole idea is, you will now be able to see all your notifications on your lock screen. And you can even interact with them by, let's say, tapping them to open them, as well as swiping them to dismiss them. That's how I work around full screen not showing me notifications. And also, it just happens to be a lot better than just seeing icons. I now actually get to see, the full text of the notification. And there you have it. If you put all these 5 apps together like I have, what this does is it creates a subtly different kind of experience when playing around with my phone. It's definitely different from, your default Android kind of experience. So yeah, I'll definitely call these apps as breathing some fresh life into my phone and making it feel new. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Don't forget, of course, that you can expand the description. You will find links to all the apps there. But alright, that about does it for today's episode of Android Application Spotlight. Until next time, you're watching 0612 TV. Hello, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, remember that I appreciate every like, favorite, and comment you give me. If you'd like to see more from me in the future, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And for more updates outside of YouTube, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at 0612TV. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.